Welcome to the Women's Connection. I'm Barrie-Louise Switzen, your moderator. Women's Connection is a program about events shaping women's lives and helping one gain authentic power on a personal or professional level. So won't you stay tuned? Welcome. I can't tell you how excited I am to have a friend back, Sylvia Allen of Allen Consulting. She is just terrific. She's the one who taught me about sponsorship, sales, and everything else. So we're going to talk about selling. I'd like to welcome Sylvia. Sylvia, glad to have you back.
Oh, Barry, thank you so much for letting me be here. It's always fun to be with you.
Thank you. How has selling changed in the years since you started selling?
Well, it used to be almost like beat-up selling, where it was win-lose. If I make the sale to you, I win, you lose. And it was very formulaic. If the person said this, you answered this. If they said this, you answered this. And it has migrated and evolved into more of a consultative relationship, where if you say something to me, I'm going to respond to what it was that you said and do a more exploratory conversation with you to ensure that what I've got match your needs. It also is not, you can't sell everything to everybody. So you do a lot more work on finding out who this person is. Are they qualified to buy what it is that you're selling? So it's a total change from win-lose, to the Stephen Covey win-win philosophy.
Well, I like this win-win philosophy because our business selling is related on referral sales, and if the customer is not happy, we're not going to get referrals, which is the backbone of our business.
And they also badmouth you.
Oh, yes, they do.
Take the negative. The negative is they tell 10 people, and then there's 10 people who are unhappy, and we don't want that.
Definitely not. What do you think is the hardest thing to teach women today?
How to ask for the order?
Okay, let's start with that. How do you ask for the order?
Will we be working together? I make it really simple. One of the things when I do these seminars all over the world, I say, okay, let's talk about some of the problems you have. And without fail, usually a female will say, well, I can't get them to say yes. So I say, are you dealing with a decision maker? Well, no, not really. Go over their head. Oh, that wouldn't be nice. Women are very busy being nice. We're empathetic and loving. I say, go over their head. And then I turn to a man in the audience and I say, what would you do? Over their head. Turn to another man. I say, what would you do? They say, I'd go over their head. And it comes back to, number one, they're afraid to go over their head. And then number two, what they do is they'll say, it's been wonderful meeting with you, and I'd like to leave some things with you to look at. It's really been a pleasure getting to know you, and let me know when you'd like to talk again. And they walk out the door, and they're not going to remember.
How do you keep your name and face in front of the customer?
Well, in the first place, I always ask for the order. I'll say, it's been wonderful speaking with you, and we've talked about a number of ways that this can benefit you. Will we be working together? And they can say yes or no. When they say maybe, I say wrong answer, sorry. This is the yes hand, and this is the no hand. Pick one. And whatever one they pick, yes, you've got the order, shut up and leave. No, you still don't stand up and walk away, because you say you probably have a good reason for saying that. May I ask what it is? Find out why they said no. One of my favorites is, we have no money. And I say, well, we're even. And I continue on. Because you need to figure out why they're really saying no. Because it's not, no, they don't want this. No, maybe you didn't explain it right. No, maybe you didn't do good enough job on the assets and the value and so on.
Well, we all don't want to hear negative thoughts. So, and that seems like if we ask for a no or a yes answer and we get the no, I think many women just kind of freeze up about, what do I do next?
They take it personally.
So how do you get over that?
You just get over it. It's not personal. It isn't because they don't like my earrings. It isn't because they don't like my haircut. It isn't because they don't like me. Somehow I did not communicate the information properly to have them respond with an affirmative. Now, I say all of this. You're not going to get all yeses. We'll just not get all yeses. But if you tune into your customer, you've done your account qualification, you care about them, very important to care about them. Forget about your ego. Worry about theirs. Make sure you understand their business so you're matching your assets, the things you're bringing, to their needs. So when you get to know, it just means there's something wrong in there. You haven't explained something properly. Maybe you didn't do your homework right. It may be a wrong fit for what it is that you're doing. And then you could say, you know what, sir, you're very smart, or ma'am, to recognize that this wasn't a good fit. But you never give up on the first no, ever.
Well, I think it also goes back to the fact that you're insecure in what your job is and you don't know the proper thing to say next to the customer. Especially when you're starting out, it's like, what did I do wrong? What did I say? It's me, it's not them. But how do I get over that? What do I say to move it on? And you've come up with some great things. Do you have anything else you want to add on that score?
The other thing you can do, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in on you, but unaccustomed as I am to answering, one of the other things, let's say you've gotten to 5 no's. Then Brian Tracy is a wonderful sales trainer, and he says, once you've gotten to 5 no's, they probably mean it. But you can always stand up, and just as you're ready to leave, you can say, what, and mind you now, they've relaxed, right? The pressure's off, and you could say, what could I have done to get you to work with me? And they may tell you, gee, if you'd only explained this, if you'd only been sensitive to da-da-da-da-da, I go right back in and sit down and say, well, my goodness, we can do that. And pick up on that one last piece. If they still say no, you know, go away before they say disappear, you know. I did have one guy say, what do I have to do to get rid of you? I said, you have to say yes. He said, for crying out loud, yes. I said, terrific. He said, you're not leaving. I said, I need to pick up the check. It was very funny.
Going back to what you said, a man would say one thing and a woman would do another. What are the differences do you find between men and women in dealing in the business as far as selling and as far as customer, they being the customer?
Okay, number one, it's wonderful. I'm going to just talk a minute. I'm going to back up here a little. Female selling to male is great. Male selling to female is great. Male to male is great. The toughest sale is female to female.
Why is that?
Well, because women, especially if they're a queen bee, are protecting their turf. They've got to be tough. They've adopted this attitude, and they're not open. They're not receptive to new things. And if it's a queen bee, they say, honey, I made it. You're on your own. So it's tough. But in different traits, men are not empathetic. You know, let's say you call on someone and they say, you know, Sylvia, I'd like to give you a little more time, but the school just called and my son is sick and I have to go pick him up. A man would say, okay, they totally understand. I want to talk to you about, and they would continue on. What does a woman do? Woman says, totally understand. Now don't give in so much to your empathy that you lose this opportunity. Say, get out your book. Let's reschedule this appointment right now. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you, and best of luck with your son. So you're showing empathy, you're caring, but you're not losing sight of the fact that you need to make this appointment. We tend to be too sensitive. Women are too sensitive, whereas men are not. Men are not detail-oriented or task-oriented. We're terrific at that. Women are able to multitask. Men are not. We're able, like say you get a curve thrown at you in a sales call, you can immediately shift gears. Let's face it, how have women started out? You know, if you look at the 50s, they're at home, they're raising children. Oh, by the way, I have to also get dinner ready. I have to be happy and pleasant for my husband. And I promised the church I would make cookies, and I told the school I would do. So they're used to doing all of these things, whereas men say, I am going to the garage and fix the car. Don't stop them in going to the garage to fix the car, because they'll do that. Okay, that task is done. Then let's tackle the next one. So those are some of the differences.
I find that women's wardrobes have changed over the years as far as selling and being inappropriate in many cases.
Oh, yes. I call it the bimbo look. It's a problem in that people, employers, are afraid to say, look, you can't go out in a bustier with a see-through shirt with a short skirt slit up to your side and 4-inch heels. Because what is the message that you're giving, particularly if you're calling on men? You don't want to use your sex to sell. You want to use feminism. Feminism is okay, but not your sex. And you're giving the wrong message. Neutral. I really believe you need to be totally neutral. And of course, I have such a strong personality. I have to be very careful. I cannot come in dressed like you are, Barrie. You are meticulous. You're professional. You wear a suit. You do everything just right. I come in very low-key, very casual. Like what I have on today would be a typical sales outfit. The only gaudiness, I do get carried away with earrings.
Women make a lot of mistakes in getting to the sale and asking for the clothes, but we'll go on to that in a minute. But how do you find women make other mistakes that they can improve upon? Or maybe I shouldn't say mistakes and say challenges.
Well, I'm going to quote from my book, because when you would ask me that before we went on the air, and I said, oh my goodness, I always forget about mistakes, because once you make a mistake, you know, leave it alone. But here's some of the problems. Not asking for the sale, that's really a big one. And it's that fear of no, it's that fear of rejection. The other would be falling back on your femininity. Another is women tend, when they get nervous, to giggle. Giggle on the sale. Don't giggle. It turns a guy off. Using sex as a sales tool, you know, again, dressing inappropriately, not doing it right, not taking enough calls. We have to add, if you're in sales, you have to add 20 new calls a week. 20 new cold calls a week to keep enough business in the pipeline so that you are generating enough sales. Not recognizing the personality style of the buyer. Is it a driver? Is it an expressive? Is it an analytical? Is it an amiable? I happen to be an expressive driver. Don't come in and call on me with 900 pounds of documentation. I won't buy. I'll get bored and I'll turn off. Not finding the decision maker. And that really is a touchy thing, because you could call someone and they say, oh, yes, come in and see, and I'm just going to make this name, come in and see Martha Schmekalovich. She's our marketing person. Okay, you come in, you go, wait a minute, Martha doesn't have any decision. How am I going to get to the right person? One of the things I do if I have to meet with that person over the phone, I'll say, is there anyone else, Martha, you'd like involved in this meeting? Make sure we cover everything that you're interested in. Just notice, Barry, I always turn it to their benefit, to their value, to their winning. And then just overselling. When you have an order, shut up. Thank you so much. It's wonderful meeting with you. I have a guy that I always deal with for my copiers. I called him, I said, I need a new copier, and here are the 6 things I need. He said, let me come meet with you. I said, I want to meet with you. Here are the 6 things that I need. Well, I'm going to be in your neighborhood. And, you know, I live in the end of a 500-foot driveway, so in the neighborhood was a funny line. Don't ever tell people you're in the neighborhood. But I said, fine, come on down. And he started going through a flip chart presentation. You know, it has this many plugs. I said, stop. I have things I wanted to do. And I went 1 through 3, 4, 5, 6. He said, okay, but let me finish the presentation. I said, no, you won't. I said, you give me a price. You tell me when you can deliver. Then go downstairs and give Betsy the presentation, because Betsy's an analytical and amiable. She'll sit through the whole thing. And she was happy. She sat through a whole hour and found out about all the plugs. But if he had kept on and I didn't know him, he'd have lost the sale. I was done. I had 6 things I wanted to do. I knew what my budget was. Move on.
Now, you mentioned the different types. Let's go back and specify the different types. One, you said you are
a driver.
You said you're a driver. Okay, so you like it short, sweet, to the point.
Cliff notes. There are really 4 personality styles, and this is Wilson Learning Corporation, Social Style Sales Strategies. There's driver, expressive, analytical, and amiable. A driver wants the cliff notes. Driver wants you, like if you say to a driver, our appointment's at 9 o'clock, and you show up at 9:01, the first thing the driver's going to say is, you're late. And you already put yourself at a disadvantage. They want to know, what will it do for me and how will it impact my bottom line? How quickly can I get it, and move on? Usually with a driver, you do like you would with me. Here are the 6 key points. Here are the dollar amounts. Do you want to do this? Yes or no? Yes, I do. Terrific. Who would you like me to work with in your organization for the details? So that's a driver. An expressive is concerned about people's feelings and emotions. So you want to tap into that. And you can usually tell, because if it's a male expressive, they're a little more flamboyant. Obviously, as a female expressive, I choose to be flamboyant. But they are more concerned about feelings. So you're going to say, how do you feel about how this will impact your organization or your participation? Again, cliff notes. Expressives are the quickest people after a driver to make a decision, but the quickest to rescind. They are the only ones out of the four, and I'll get to analytical and amiable in a minute, that suffer from buyer's remorse, where they, oh, I wish I hadn't said yes. Well, maybe if I call back at 10 at night and leave a message, then it'll go away. And whenever I do this in a seminar, it's always fun to see who laughs at that, because I know those are the expressives. An analytical, on the other hand, methodical, wants to be secure, wants to be safe, won't make any decisions without tons of documentation. You know, when you call an analytical, you know, I'd like to come in and meet with you. Would you repeat your name again, please? Please spell it for me. Let me get your number. Who did you say you're with? We don't have time this month because I do want to be fair to you and give you enough time. The minute you hear that, you go, okay, I've got an analytical, and you come in with stacks of stuff. Givers and expressives will make fast decisions, analyticals won't. They want every detail, and they want to be safe in their decision. Same way with amiables. And the way you can spot an amiable is if they have all these pictures around the office. Their children, they may have the little clay paperclip holder, and you go, oh, did your child make that? Oh yes, my child made that. They have little things hanging on the wall. When you have an amiable, sit back, relax. You have got to get to know them, and they've got to get to know you. When I used to work out of a Florida office, the minute I'd spot a fish on the wall, I would say, did you catch that fish? And they'd go, yeah. Tell me about your fish. And I knew I had an amiable, and they would get comfortable talking about the fish, comfortable with me. Because if you start in selling right away, they're not going to buy. They've got to be comfortable with you, and they've got to know you care about them. Analyticals and amiables, very slow decisions, but once they make a decision, they're loyal. Drivers and expressives, very quick decisions, quick in, quick out. So you have to just tune into the personalities.
Sylvia, as a realtor, I get into the emotional part of their lives. They're spending their money, which they've earned hard, you know, nothing comes easy today. And they want to make sure they've made the right decision. And you get into this, well, I don't know, the buyer's remorse. Any suggestions?
Oh, sure. The first thing, if they say, gee, I don't know, I'd say, share with me what's going through your head. Let's talk about these issues that are coming up, because I'm sure, based on your initial reaction, that this is the right decision. So let's look at some of these minor issues and bring them out and see if we can deal with them.
One of the things that you talked about was women don't network enough.
Oh,
what about that?
Sorry, I mean, one of my hot buttons.
Okay, so let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Why don't women network enough?
Think about it. You're walking in a room cold. You don't know anybody. What things go through your head? Let me tell you what your mother said. Never talk to strangers. Never speak until spoken to. He or she is only after one thing. You know, we can go and go. Think about all these little tapes in our heads. You know, the key one is never talk to a stranger. Well, okay, when you get into a situation where you don't know anybody, the first thing I do is I pretend I'm in charge. And I go up and I say, how do you do? I'm Sylvia Allen. I don't think I've ever met you before. And I say, who are you? And they tell me, and I say, have you ever been at this meeting? And they go, no. I say, isn't that wonderful? Neither have I. Why don't we go around and meet people together? This way you can do a buddy system. If they've been there, then I say, I bet you know some people. And they usually say, yeah. I say, would you take me around and introduce me? Don't be afraid to go up to people. I have a wonderful friend, Pat Klein-Lindbergh. Love her. She's about my age, blonde. She does fundraising for tons of people. But she has that wonderful, sweet, pink-cheeked blonde look. And she'll go up and she'll say, how do you do? I've never met you. I'm Pat Klein-Lindbergh. And then they say who they are. And she'll say, well, hang on to your wallet. And then she continues on. And she's a phenomenal fundraiser. She's sweet, she's charming, but she's right to the point and never afraid to meet people. We went to the Haskell race a year ago out at the Meadowlands. And I'm watching her and I said, you know what? You are a better networker than I am.
That's awesome. I think it's a key. I mean, it's also with the cold calling, you have to keep dialing, I call it dialing for dollars, that I heard years ago, and I just love that phrase of dialing for dollars.
You know, it doesn't, you know, cold calls are so fun. They're fun because it's a way to meet someone new. And what's the most they can do?
Say no.
Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
I think that's terrific. It's like, okay, well, I don't have any need for a new house, new apartment, and I don't know anybody else that wants to buy anywhere else in the world here.
And that's great. May I follow up with you, though, in the future, in case you change your mind? You're asking permission. You always ask permission. What are they going to say? No, don't follow up with me? They're not going to be rude. Most people aren't rude. And we do, if any, I don't know if you've ever had this experience where they hang up on you.
Oh, yes.
I call back and I say, I'm sorry, we got disconnected. It must be my phone system. And trying to laugh.
What would you say was the toughest sale you've ever made, and why?
Well, I'm in the middle of it because the toughest, it's really the toughest selling I've ever had. I was hired by the Iditarod, the dog sled race in Alaska, a year ago. And the problem is getting people to comprehend that because the race in Alaska does not mean it only impacts Alaskan people. It's only 3% of Iditarod addicts are in Alaska. The other 97% are in the lower 48, which they call us, the lower 48. And of course, anywhere internationally. We have all sorts of statistics. Second highest viewing, by the way, and Iditarod fans is the state of New York, which I find mind-boggling. Third highest in the state of New Jersey. I thought, you know, being originally from Minnesota, it would be Minnesota, Michigan, you know, all of those northern rim states. But once someone has become an Iditarod fan or an Iditarod addict, they follow it. And when talking to people, I say 97% of those people are not in Alaska. Are those your customers? Yeah, but it's only Alaska. It's been the toughest sell. I finally got yak tracks. And yeah, I know, prior to getting them, I didn't know what they are. But they're like cleats that you put on your boots, and it keeps you from falling down in the snow and the ice. And they're going to give every musher, of which there are currently 80, and there'll probably be 100 by the time the race is run, give every musher a set of yak tracks, and every dog handler, because you need dog handlers to work with them as they race up to the start line. So I have one now. I finally have yak tracks who understands that it's more than just Alaska.
That is wild.
It's fun. I mean, I just adore it. On the other hand, I have a client called the My Pet Home Improvement Radio Show, and he's on about 183 radio stations now around the United States and Canada. Selling that is a dream because it's not just airtime, it's internet and media tours and spokespeople and everything. And I shouldn't say this if he's watching the show, it's like shooting ducks in a barrel.
What can women do to outdistance men in selling?
Oh my gosh. Show up. Care about the customer, and ask for the order. I think that women, sorry guys, women are 10 times better at sales than men. We're task-oriented, we can multitask, we care about the other person. And if we get rid of that fear, there's nothing holding us back. And think about it, a cold call, you're a female making a cold call, and 84%, currently the current statistics are 84% of business decisions are still made by men. You're female calling a male, you think they won't pick that phone up?
What would you say are some good power words for women to use?
Oh, this is wonderful. I'm going to tell you what not to use. I want to work with you. No, I need to work with you. I hope you'll do this. I expect you to do this. Never get any words that are weak. Hope is the weakest thing. Just eliminate hope. When I'm doing seminars, I say, I want you all to write down hope. I say, now scratch it out. When I make a cold call, if I'm trying to get, especially if I'm trying to get through the gatekeeper, I need to talk to Mr. Johnson. Not I want to, I need to. And those are the two key things to me, need versus want, and get rid of hope. And talk in present tense. The other thing I do a lot of is we. When we will be working together, like if I were calling on you, Barrie, I'd say, one of the things we can do for your show is da-da-da, and I immediately come around on the other side of the desk and partner with you instead of taking an adversarial versus you kind of position.
Sylvia, I want to thank you. It has been just terrific, and you've got this great new book out called A Woman's Guide to Sales Success that is just awesome. I mean, I can't say enough about it, and I hope the audience will enjoy reading it also. What would you like to leave the audience with in the closing moments of the show?
I would like you to love yourself. I would like you to believe in yourself. There is nothing you can't do. And then one final thing, make sure you have written goals. The minute you have written goals and you see those and you work to them, you will be successful.
Let's talk about goals for a minute. I mean, this is just so important these days that I've been reading more and more. If you don't have goals, you don't know where you're going. How can you write the goals down? I want this mansion in the sky. But what else goes along with the fact that you want the goals?
What are your steps to achieving that goal? You want the mansion in the sky. Let's say the mansion in the sky is $1 million. How much do you currently have? Okay, well, I have $10,000. Well, we have a little gap here, so we got to figure out how to get from 10,000 to $1 million. But you can explore, what are my ways of getting that? What are my ways of managing it? Have I set an unrealistic goal? I'm going to go back to the radio show because this was a classic example of goal setting. I set a goal that I knew I could achieve, and then I kept a little thermometer on the wall. I achieved that goal in the first 3 months. So I told my client, I said, I promise you I'll double it within the year that I'm working with you. I doubled it in 9 months. And then I said, okay, now mind you, I'm coming into June, July, and August, and if you try to sell radio in those months, it's really tough. I said, I'm going to try and triple it. Well, I didn't triple it, but what I did was 2.5 times my original goal. So set a realistic goal, hit it, then bump it up again, then hit it. And that way you're doing like steps.
Sylvia, thank you so much. I can't tell you how excited I am that you joined us again.
My pleasure.
I hope you've enjoyed listening to Sylvia Allen from Allen Consulting. Please write us. Sylvia will be happy to answer any questions. You can write us at The Woman's Connection. Look forward to hearing from you. Bye now.